Today we're going to talk about Ibrahim Pasha. How did he manipulate people? What were his techniques to achieve his goals? Now, Ibrahim Pasha was a very slippery character in his own right. He was vain, arrogant, and deceitful. This is how he is characterized by the viewers of the series. His fight with hurrem showed us what he was really like. His dodging was simply astounding. He was able to convince Suleiman of his innocence, and the Sultan kept letting everything pass his eyes. The first method he often used was pity. More often than not, this method was reserved for Suleiman. It was thanks to the fact that Ibrahim could, in time out of himself, to play a poor sheep. Many misdeeds were forgiven him or were unnoticed. With the help of such manipulation, he liked to achieve his goals. Take a vivid example when Ibrahim, by his negligence, allowed a traitor in the harem Victoria. She attacked Suleiman at his palace. When the Sultan decided to find out why the Pasha had kept a traitorous woman in his house who almost killed him, Pargali immediately employed the tactic of a miserable face like the cat from Shrek. He immediately started making excuses about what he, yes, never, and the like. He was so scared and miserable. He made the same face when Suleiman told him off for letting everyone into his chambers while he himself was walking somewhere. Ibrahim, thanks to the Sultan, was endowed with almost unlimited power. He knew how to use it and often tried to dull his heartache. His heart and soul, of course, was traumatized by his original status as a slave, and the saddest part was that every other one was pouring salt on his wound. This power opened up his next method of manipulation, which was, of course, cruelty. He tried to assert himself with this method. Most often he did it at the expense of women. Let's look back at all the slave women he interrogated. Where did he start? First, he looked down from above. Who are you and who am I? Then he would try to intimidate. But when that didn't work, the Pasha would become hysterical and violent. He would press his victim, showing his superiority and strength. The same can be said about his wife Hattis. He often tried to apply his method on the Sultaness, especially when the latter put him against the wall with her questions. Pasha would start yelling and pressurizing Hattis. Also, Ibrahim was not squeamish in such manipulation as lying. His words often did not coincide with actions. How many times he made a deal with hurrem and didn't keep his word. He could lie so convincingly that he was believed by Hurrem Sultan herself, who was very suspicious and careful. For example, when Ibrahim promised that he would help Hurrem by getting rid of Isabella. When he got his daughter, he left the girl in the harem. He also shouted to everyone that he loved his wife and wanted their marriage to be a paradise for the two of them. Meanwhile, he himself was cheating on the Sultaness with Nigar. But lying is not his last method of manipulation. Ibrahim liked to conceal what should be obvious to Suleiman. He did it for his own benefit, so that his enemy Hurrem would not look in a good light in the eyes of the Sultan. Let's look back at Hurrem's first exile. Ibrahim, despite Suleiman's distress, did not tell the truth. He withheld the fact that Hurrem was innocent. Ibrahim's most probably favorite method of manipulation is cold-bloodedness and bullying others. Sometimes it seemed to me that the Pasha enjoyed watching people suffer. We can think of an example when he devised a punishment for Matrakshi for bringing the spy Victoria to the palace. He knew about his friend's feelings but made him drown his beloved. And the case of Hurrem and Luka? When Ibrahim handed them the poisoned lucum, we can remember how he liked to wear down Hurrem when he found evidence against her in her intrigues. He would say he would tell the Sultan and stall for time. In the meantime, Haseki was tormenting herself with worry. Thanks to his manipulations, Ibrahim was able to achieve high office, power and wealth. But his heartache, which can be called easily and simply a slave, ruined the man. He tried to assert himself in his own eyes, but all his manipulations did not work for himself.